Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Outlook of Babylon the Great is Grim. And pretty much, this title came through inspiration of a few videos I've been watching dealing with the economy of America, the economy of the world, dealing with the crops and all of the problems that the world is having. And pretty much at the end of the day, the outlook for Babylon the Great, which is America, is grim, because all nations are realizing that their lives would be made a lot easier if they sever ties with America, somehow, some way. And everyone is realizing that. And a matter of fact, yesterday a precept had came to mind. That's either in the book of Jeremiah 50 or Jeremiah 51. Just bear with me real quick. It just came back into mind. Let me see if it's this one. Just bear with me 1 second. It might be 51. I think it's 51. Just bear with me 1 second. Damn, trying to think of how it's worded. Can't even think how it's worded right now. But it's something along the lines of the nations, fleeing out of, from this place, going back to their own land. If any brother knows where that's at, they can bring it out. Baba Kusha. So, like I said, the name of the lesson is The Outlook of Babylon the Great is Grim. So I just typed in grim outlook, meaning it says unpleasant, depressing, and difficult to accept. A situation or piece of information that is grim is unpleasant, depressing, and difficult to accept. And this is pretty much what's happening. And the average American, especially the ones that don't know what the hell is going on, and especially Esau, they're having a very difficult time accepting that their reign is up, that they're going down, and that they no longer have the power and sway over the planet Earth like they once did. Because pretty much what the Lord has done, in essence, is, let's go to the book of Isaiah 14. Yeah, that was it. I was there. The water brother, I was there. The brother Iwalam and the brother Harakha. I was there, but for some reason, I guess I glanced over it and didn't even see it. But let's go to Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. And if you analyze the ways of these nations and their mannerisms over the years, you see that they're not mimicking, for the most part, the ways of their ancestors, so to speak. They're mimicking the ways of America. All nations are, And I mean, if the spirit is working with the individual, it shouldn't be hard to tell that this Babylon or Babylon the Great is dealing with America, who has a great influence over the whole planet. You have something called Americanization. It says the nations have drunk enough of wine, therefore the nations are mad, right? So these nations have been in bed with America, and the reason why it says that they're mad is twofold. The nations are mad because when you get drunk, you're pretty much in a mad state, in a drunken state. You can't function properly, you know, and this is why you see all of the problems that these nations are having, you know. But also they're pissed off because they see that ever since they dealt with America, even though they got some benefits, they pretty much are in a low, destitute state because their economy was dependent upon the dollar, the US dollar, because that was the world reserve currency. And they see that the more that they use the dollar, the more in a jam that they become, in a grim state. Just like this chart here, as you can see, everything is pointing downward spiral, right? It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How far? Because eventually that's the ultimate outcome for America. They're going to be totally annihilated, totally destroyed eventually. It says take balm for her pain, meaning take something to help soothe the wounds, if so be she may be healed, if this may be able to heal them. There is no band-aid big enough to put over this bruise or this wound that the Lord has brought upon them in order to cure them, in order for Babylon to get back to health the way that she was at one time. So pretty much America, Babylon the Great, is CTDing, circling the drain. And the nations are seeing it. And the nations are making the wisest moves that they've ever made in history, is getting away from the main culprit that is bringing their country, their economy and everything down, which is the US dollar, the world reserve currency. And this is why the future for this place looks grim. All right, it says, and I was just listening to I think it was the Epic Economist, and pretty much he was speaking about how the baby boomers right now are coming to the age of retirement, and they can't retire because, first of all, they don't have the savings to retire. Second of all, the way things are, they're not able, to even keep up with, with their bills and all of that. So they're dependent on having to work longer, and when all of them retire, right, pretty much they're saying that that's going to cause a huge strain, more than already is happening, on the economy because of Social Security, benefits and all of that. So shit is it's just compiling shit on top of shit, and eventually once you have enough shit piled high enough, it's going to start rolling. It says we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her. See, and this is what the nations are doing. They're forsaking America. This is why you have the BRICS nations. This is why you have other nations making unions and agreements to trade goods for the currency of their country, to make it easier for them to transition and make more of a profit. Because the thing about business is about profit. Business is not, you're not in business to lose money, you're in business to make money. Now they go hand in hand, but you're usually in business to make money. So what they're doing is they're what's the word I'm looking for? They're maximizing their potentiality. Inside joke, but they're pretty much, looking for other options that are going to better benefit them and their country and the people that they're trading with, see, to make this money. So forsake her, the word forsake is the word izab. Izab, which means to leave, see, lose, forsake. So in other words, to leave or leave behind. And this is why we see the nations of the world doing what they're doing in creating these different unions and separating themselves from the major culprit of their woes and problems, which is the US dollar. All right, so let's go back. It says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. See, and this is what's happening. They're turning away from the U.S., even the allies of America. You know, the ones that are supposed to be on her side, they're even turning against America to deal with these other nations, because they're seeing that in the grand scheme of things, these decisions that America is making is affecting them more than it's affecting America. So in it affecting them more than affecting America, they're, you know, going other routes to make their situation better, which those other routes are hurting America. So they're pretty much switching things around and putting the burden of these debts back on America instead of on themselves. It says, for her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies, right? Because this place is ripe for destruction. It's ready to go. So let's go to Isaiah 14. And then Isaiah 14 is perfect, because when we read the third verse, I like to start at the third verse, because the third verse pretty much sets up the stage as to when the Lord is getting ready to deliver us from this set situation that we find ourselves in. These are things that are going to be taking place. That's why I like to start at the third verse. It says, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. So when the Lord is about to deliver us from this current situation we're in, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. See? So this is why you have the prophets speaking against the king of Babylon. Let's go real quick to Isaiah 13 real quick. And the prophets are pretty much telling them what's going on. Isaiah 13:1, the burden of Babylon, which is Babylon the Great, not ancient Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. And he saw the prophets cursing out, you know, America. You know, even though he didn't understand what it meant. It says, lift you up a banner upon the high mountain. The highest mountain right now is America. This is that city, that great city that ruleth over all the nations of the world. All right? I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. And this is dealing with the prophets. I'm sorry, my sanctified ones are the prophets, and the mighty ones are the angels. Salaki for 1 minute. Okay. So this is pretty much what we did. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the noble. Right. So in other words, you know, let them know, you know, that they go. So when you shaking the hand and you're exalting the voice, you're cursing somebody out. And pretty much this is what's happening right now. They're getting a curse out as to the reason why these things are happening to them. All right. So it says that they may go into the gates of the nobles. In the gates of the nobles is a representation of all of this, the places where the legislations are made, which pretty much kicks up to the international banking families. You know, this is why there's an onslaught right now on free speech. You have that vampire, you know, Hillary Clinton, that vampire-looking skeezer, you know, pushing for that, and many others are pushing for it, talking about how the Bible is offensive and this, that, and the other. Because at the end of the day, they want to remove the Most High out of the picture so that they can establish themselves as being the Most High. But it's not going to work. All right, so going back to Isaiah 14:4, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. So the oppressor and this golden city, and when you go into the word golden city, it goes into the word exactress of gold, because that's what it is. Pretty much this place really puts you into debt. This is why in Habakkuk it speaks about heavy debts. It's a way of putting you into some serious debt, because these devils know that the more debt you're in, the more that you have to borrow, and the more that you have to borrow, the more in a hole you become. And once you can't get out of that hole, you got to give up yourself and your resources, your land, in order to pay off that debt, which makes you a perpetual slave. And they know this. So it says right here, the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the ruler. So the reason why they're in the situation that they're in is because their time is up. And what the Lord is doing, he's systematically chopping down the scepter of rulership for Esau. You know, matter of fact, let's go real quick to the book of Psalms, the 75th chapter. And shalom, to all of the sincere, hopefully elect out there. And shalom to the elders, if there's any apostles watching, any bishops. And I see you, Barak Abar. Shalom, my brother. Psalm 75:5. Lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. Right, because when you're doing that, what are you doing pretty much? You're being arrogant because of the condition you find yourself in. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 2 real quick, and then we'll come back to this. And verse 3. Talk no more so exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Lord is the power of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. Yahweh Bashem El Shai Barakathum. To all of all the sincere, hopeful elect. So the Lord is the one that's weighing these actions. And the actions that these devils have brought about have not been rectified. There's nothing that they can justify that by. That's why the Lord is bringing them down. So the Lord is letting that shit stack up until the Lord said, okay, this is it. This is the point where he's long suffering. The vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. And once that day comes, boom, when he turns it on, it's over for these devils. So going back to Isaiah 14, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth. So there's a great persecution going on, and there's nobody to stop it. Because the Most High is bringing that persecution upon these devils. And they're finished. All right? So there's nothing that they can do to get back to the greatness that they once had. Talk about making America great again. They're not going to go back to that, old white supremacists ruling, comfortably anymore. Because it's the time of the end. The whole earth is at rest and it's quiet. They break forth into singing. Because the problem of the earth is these devils. Once these devils go down, that's when true peace will come. So if you are a person that really desires peace, if you are really in your right mind, you would want this devil to go down. You wouldn't be fighting valiantly to try to keep his kingdom afloat. Because the scriptures say that when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. But when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So obviously, if you are not a half-twit, if you have your head screwed on correctly and you read that scripture and you come to the conclusion that, wait a minute, the scriptures say that, when the wicked is in authority, the people are mourning. So what state is the world in? Is the world in a rejoicing state, or is the world in a mournful state? And if you're not bugged out, you would come to the conclusion that the world is in a mournful state. And if that's the case, then who would be ruling? The wicked. So that means that the people that are in charge are ruling. So what would be the logical solution? For them to go down, and for the next kingdom to be established, where righteousness comes in, where order is established, and where rejoicing comes back. That's the only thing that's left. Because when people are in heavy debt, they're not rejoicing. I mean, yeah, they might still party or here and there or whatever, but it's not the same as when you're carefree, so to speak. All right? So let's go from there. Let's go to 2 Ezra 15 real quick, because the subject matter is the outlook for America or Babylon the Great is grim, unpleasant, depressing, and difficult to accept. And people are in straits right now, on all levels. Because if you're in the straits financially, that affects every aspect of your life. Because the scriptures say that money answereth all things. So if you don't have any, or if you have very little, there's very little you can do, very little you can accomplish. See, and the thing about it, now that Esau is in this situation, now everybody is equal. But Jake, we've been dealing with this shit since these devils got here. We've been poor. We've been destitute. We've been having to scrape by and make do, and find ways to, cut back on this bill so that I can pay that bill, and cut back on this bill so that I can buy this. We've been in that struggle. These devils are now just coming to that struggle, and it's not feeling pleasant to them. So now all of a sudden everybody is equal now. When you was doing good, you ain't think twice about none of us. But now that bitterness has overtaken your soul, now you want to talk about we equal. 2 Ezra 15 and 1. These two scriptures here, these two chapters, 2 Ezra 15 and 16, are beautiful, and the 9th chapter, because it encapsulates everything that's going on right now. There's no better way to put it, and this is why we constantly go to it over and over again, because it says so much, and there's so much information in here, and there's so much that brings to life and brings to light the prophecies that are happening around the world, everywhere. It says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, because the ultimate gift to have is prophecy, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Right. So eventually all of these things that we speak will eventually come to pass. Though it tarry, wait for it, for it will surely come, it will not tarry. Fear not the imaginations against thee, because they are, from Esau to Jake, they have all different types of thoughts of what they want to do. Then it says, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Right. Don't let their unbelief bother us. Damn, man, why you don't believe it, man? Shit, it's right in the scriptures. Why they ain't believing what I'm telling them, man? The hell with them. They don't believe it, fuck them. Guess what? When it comes on their ass, and then the prophecy teeth start biting their ass, oh, they're going to believe it then. Oh, Lord Jesus, please help me. They're going to be hurting. And they're going to be like, what that y'all was saying? Man, fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. It says, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. That's the key. Be not like that rebellious house. Fuck them. We're at the point now, and we've been at that point, but we're even more at the point now where fuck you. If you ain't in the truth or you ain't a part of this, fuck you. Bottom line, fuck you. No, fucker you. Serious, man. I'm having a little fun with it, but it's true. fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You know, because you've been warned, you ain't accepting it. We fucking going through it. You know, we telling you what's coming. You better prepare yourself. And if you don't believe it, whatever comes upon you, fuck you. Straight up. And you scoffers, eat a dick. Salakia, you know. I just had to say it. Salakia. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world. And this is it. These are the plagues. These are the things that are going to cause this grim situation. Because the Lord said, I will bring plagues upon the what? The world. Not just one place. Not just two places. Not just one continent or two or three. The whole entire globe. That's why it says it's going to be a time of trouble such as never was since. And it also speaks about the hour of temptation. The hour of temptation fast approaches, because the Lord has sent plagues out on the earth, and those plagues are slowly but surely manifesting themselves. Because the plague doesn't break out all of a sudden. It comes up, and then eventually it works its way in there. And this thing has been working its way in there. And the plague is coming in different forms, because it says plagues with an S. Many different forms. One of the major forms is this economy. Then you see, you know, the situation with the food and the shortages and this and that, and then pushing this fake food and, you know, manipulated, you know, mechanical test tube chicken and all kind of crazy shit that they're pushing out there. And it tells you what these plagues that the Lord will bring upon the world are. Some of them: the sword, famine, death, and destruction. And this is why, matter of fact, this is why, this is a good time to segue into this real quick. This is why in Luke 21 and 25 it says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations. Because there's going to be a distress of nations upon the earth, you know, when Yahushua comes. But even before Yahushua comes, there's going to be distresses of, you know, of the nations, because of all of the hardships and things that are happening worldwide. Let's look up this word, distress. The word there is sunoke. It says a holding together, a narrowing, right? A narrowing means what? When things come closer together. And it's harder and difficult to what? To pass through. And this is what's happening. A contracting part of a way. Metaphoric straits, distress, anguish. Is that not what we read? Grim outlook, unpleasant, depressing, and difficult to accept. So that's all going to lead to these things. Then it goes on to say, and upon the earth distress of nations with what? Perplexity. Let's look up that word, perplexity. Perplexity. The word there is aporia. The state of one in perplexity. Let's look up the word perplex. When you're perplexed, that means that you're stupefied. You're in a dumbfounded state of something complicated or unaccountable cause someone to feel completely baffled. You know, and these situations that are happening worldwide, these plagues that the Lord is sending on the earth, are going to leave people baffled, puzzled, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to function, because they're used to things being a certain way, especially in these cities, man. It's these fucking cities, man. These fucking metropolises, these mother cities, this has been the worst thing. People think it was a good idea because it made life easier, but really it made life, worthless. It made shit even more complex, because when they take away that comfortability, people are not gonna know what to do because everything was handed to them. They never did anything for anything. They want a coffee, they can just go to the store. And then they made it to the point where if you have to wait 2 or 3 seconds more, the person is so bugged out that they'll jump through the motherfucking window and start fighting everybody or stabbing or killing people because you left one, you didn't put one extra pepperoni on their pizza. Oh my goodness, oh, I can't believe these motherfuckers did that. I've got this strawberry sprinkles, donut, and they cheated me on the sprinkles. It's supposed to have 55, it only had 50. Fuck that. These people are bugging out, man. And this is what happens when you have these fucking cities, these metropolises. So let's see what else we could glean off of this. It says the sea and waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. This is dealing with when Yahweh Shai comes, but also with the things that are happening on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken, because Yahweh Shai is coming to shake this place. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Because when Yahweh Shai gets here, it's going to be bad. But prior to Yahweh Shai getting here, it's going to be bad. And when these things begin to come to pass, and look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And man, all I can say is, Lord's will, the Lord do this quickly. All right. So that's pretty much the main point. Let's go back. So it says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth. And this place is wicked, man. It's done brought wickedness to the extreme. This place is more wicked than the old world, believe it or not. And their hurtful works are fulfilled, because the actions that these people are doing is what's bringing their demise. Therefore, saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Right, so now the Lord said he has long time holding his peace. Now he's going to roar. Oh man, this is a good one. Ezekiel 7:5. This is what the sovereign Lord saith: disaster after disaster is coming your way. This is from the NLT. It says the end has come. It has finally arrived. Your final doom is waiting. God damn. Yeah, NLT, sometimes they be on point, but sometimes it be bugged out. Matthew 24:8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Yep. And that's exactly what it is. Yep, and this is the reason why. It says they know not, Psalms 82:5, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course, right? These foundations of the earth are out of course. So back in 2 Ezra 15:8, neither will I suffer them in those things anymore. In which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And yeah, we are crying, complaining continually to the Lord, to destroy this place. And if we're not saying it mentally or verbally, our spirits are crying out, heavy, with groanings that cannot be uttered. And therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will smite them with a mighty hand and stretched out arm. And not because Yahweh Shai is coming to deliver us. It says, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Right, and this is talking about modern day Egypt, because ancient Egypt the whole land was not destroyed. It was just the Pharaoh and his military that were destroyed. And the Lord did not destroy the whole land of Egypt. So that's talking about this land of Egypt, modern day Egypt, which is America, Babylon the Great, which has many different names. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundations of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. Yeah, because the Lord is going to hit them with plagues again. And he is hitting them with plagues. Even though this economic disaster is being manufactured, but that's the Lord working on the left-hand side, on the minds of these devils. They that till the ground shall mourn, and we're seeing that happening more and more. Some farmers are getting paid off. You know, they're causing all these different train derailments, and all these different, you know, chemicals are spilling out there that are very toxic, destroying the water, destroying the land, destroying the animals, the crops, you know, vegetation, you know, the crops and everything. Because one of the tenets for these 15-minute cities, I believe it was, is that, well, these lands are not inhabitable anyway, so we're just gonna, you know, we're gonna condemn them, and then we're gonna turn them over to these cities. You know, so these devils are very meticulous in what they do. It says, "For their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail," and we see that happening, and with a fearful consolation, because things are looking grim. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Why? Because we are going to experience something like never before, and it's going to be a worldwide event that's going to take place, that's going to rock this place. It's going to rock people, you know, from their foundation. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, right? So all we seeing is just the rumblings, you know, the warning signs, the tremors of what's coming. Shit ain't even really break yet, and these people are bugging out. So just imagine when the shit really starts to erupt, when this volcano of hell starts to erupt. What you think is gonna happen then? If people are losing it now, when they can still get certain things, what do you think they're gonna do when they can't get shit? You know? Elder Malcolm has said more than 36 train derailments throughout the Midwest, fertile soil and waterways used for human consumption are contaminated with toxic chems. Look at that. Look at that. Then on top of that, the chemtrails that they, you know, plastering over the, you know, skies every day. You know, this is why Yahweh Shai said it best. He said, you know, except the Lord shorten those days, there shall no flesh be left to be saved. You know, Barakatah Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, that the Lord is coming to deliver us and show us His, you know, great mercies. You know, other than that, we be doomed right here with everybody else. So it says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, right? Because it's going to be race wars, class wars, you know, because of the situation, and swords in their hands. Why? Because it's going to tell you, for there shall be sedition among men, right? There's going to be uprising among men, because right now you can walk in your neighborhood, you know, and for the most part, nobody really fucks with you. You know, I mean, unless you're in Jake's neighborhood, you know, they do some stupid shit. But for the most part, nobody really fucks with you. You know, you know, as long as you mind your business and you don't do nothing stupid, they usually leave you alone. You know, but in that day, it's going to be so terrible, and want is going to be so prevalent, and famine, that they're going to be, everybody they see or whatever, like in the movie The Road. They see some, you know, some stragglers walking or whatever, they rolling up on them, taking their shit, killing them. If they have women, rape their women, you know, and moving on with their shit. We ain't got shit, you got shit, I got, you know, more power than you got, I'm taking your shit, and then I'm gonna take you out. You know, every man for himself. It says what? And invading one another. And that's what's happening, invading somebody's space. It says they shall not regard their kings nor princes, right? They're not going to try to hear what the president or vice president or any senators or mayors or governors or any of these so-called religious leaders are saying. They could care less. It says, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Why? Because it's going to be an anarchy type situation out here. Every man by their own rule. Because there's going to be no rule. This is why they're going to have to eventually enact what they call martial law, which is when the military takes over the, you know, the Constitution and the so-called American ways and laws and all that is pushed to the side, and the military steps in, and they start policing the streets and putting up roadblocks, you know, and they have orders, you know, in certain cases that if you don't comply or if you do something. They can put you to death right on the spot and be held unaccountable. How they are when they go to war all over the planet. They do all type of mischief. They rape women. They kill people, innocent people, and they're still held not accountable. This is why the Lord is coming to bring the ruckus on these devils. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. That's going to be something. The man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Why? But shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, like in the movie The Road, because, and the book of Eli, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. This is why it's going to happen. Great tribulation. So the outlook for Babylon the Great, or the outlook of Babylon the Great, is grim. And Babylon the Great is America. So with that, I pray that you brothers and sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say Shalom. Tawada for tuning in. And Tawada to you brothers for posting all those precepts. Salaki, I couldn't get to more of them. Shalom.